A couple of months ago, I put out a leak in a live stream that said that I had come across a new AMD codename, namely Snowmass. And at the time, I unfortunately wrongly assumed that this could be a Steam Deck 2 APU. Now, in my defense, this is why I thought that at the time. So, at the time, one of the few things I knew about this product that was launching years from now was that it utilized Zen 7, and that would mean that it would probably launch in 2028 or 2029. And I expected the Steam Deck 2 to launch in 2028 or 2029. By the way, I still do. In addition to that, I had access to a document that told me a few details about Snowmass. I'll put this on screen now. I think it's now safe for me to share. That said that it was a semi-custom business unit product. That's what SCBU stands for, and that it was also an APU. And well, I'll just admit it. At this point, from the additional information I've gotten from sources, I don't think that's actually correct. Now, why would that be wrong on that document? Well, it's actually something I've seen before. When a product is years away, sometimes in some docs, like, I don't know, that's not necessarily what this is, but like, as an example, maybe someone's listing stuff that a team's working on. They will be lazy. Like, they will take something and copy and paste. Like, let's say there was a Zen 6 product they were once working on. They'll copy that, paste it into an email or something, and then just like change Zen 6 to Zen 7. And like most of the stuff is correct, but stuff that's far away, they just threw it on there last minute so that it was on some list. And I think that's what happened here. By the way, just to be clear, this thing you're looking at on screen here, first of all, Sephiroth is the 6 nanometer Steam Deck OLED APU. I saw that near it in the list, and maybe that's subliminally influenced me into thinking that's why it could be connected to it. But in addition to that, Snowmass, doesn't that sound not really necessarily like an Epic chip? Like, it's not an Italian city. Well, actually, I looked into it today, and there is a mountain ski resort town called Snowmass. And yeah, AMD has actually named Epic products after mountainous cities before. So again, that further influences, well, what I'm about to tell you in a leak here, which is that no, Snowmass is not the Steam Deck 2 APU. However, it is an absurd server product. And actually, let me just put this on screen now and get into the leak. So Zen 7 Snowmass, releasing this leak in mid-August of 2026. Snowmass is a monster EPYC CPU that utilizes TSMC's A14 node for the core dies, N3C node for the IO dies, and N4P for the L3 cache dies. Effectively, this is big Steamboat. Now, for those who missed my previous Zen 7 leaks, which I'll put a couple thumbnails on screen here and link to them so that you can go check out the videos that you may have missed, Steamboat is like the crazy big, or it was up until now, the crazy big like server flagship for the Zen 7 family. Basically, what AMD would do is not use Vcache, but use a more complex like cache die on the bottom to give you almost Vcache levels of L3. Not quite as much per core as what the Vcache variants will be, but like almost Vcache levels of L3, and then get to like almost classic cores level of performance. So probably a bit better than your standard C cores, and do this balance of almost Vcache, almost classic cores, but you remove the L3 from one of the layers so you can pack more of them into a die to get to an absurd level of performance and core counts in one product. It's kind of like, if you're willing to spend the money for all of this 3D stacking, we can give you the best of both worlds, the best of Vcache and the best of per core performance. That's what Steamboat aimed to do. And I thought that, therefore, Steamboat would be the flagship and go up to 264 cores. Apparently, that is not enough for AMD, as it turns out. As you see on screen here, each core chiplet for Snowmass, and that's what these are the Snowmass core chiplets, goes up to 48 cores, and you can scale 8 of them in this platform up to 384 cores. Additionally, in some documents that I saw recently, which I can't say anything more than what I'm saying here about how I know this or like what gets you to this final number, but that 15 to 25% IPC uplift that I leaked before for Zen 7, I'm now putting it in red text. This does seem to be the range they expect. So don't be surprised if Zen 7 hits 20% IPC or something. This is what they're aiming for, and it seems like they're getting closer and closer to achieving it without any issues getting there. Additionally, this also blew my mind. I've seen that they are targeting a mid-2028 launch for this monster 3D 4-core model. They want this to actually launch before Steamboat, and they want it to just take the performance crown by an absurd amount as soon as possible. Other minor footnotes here. AMD is starting to reference TSMC's A13 node, which is already official, I believe, and specifically A10 is called out as the next major node for AMD products after A14. So much like, 2 nanometer or 4 nanometer is a major node that they're going to use for all types of things, A10 will be that as well. And so, well, there you go. There's the leak. I've now corrected the record fully. What do I think about all this? Well, I mean, I'm just going to state the obvious. Look, maybe Intel will catch up in consumer before they do an Epic, and maybe, Diamond Rapids or Coral Rapids, these are the upcoming Intel server products, will completely blow me away. But I'm sorry. If you look at where the state of the server competition in CPU is right now, AMD is already over 3 times faster than Intel's best product. In fact, their best Zen 5 product is still better than Intel's best product currently on the market. Intel is generations behind in performance, and I think Snowmass, or the Snowmass variant of Zen 7 Epic, is just going to double performance again over where they are now. And where they are now is over 3 times faster than Intel. So look, maybe Diamond Rapids will be good when it finally launches, and maybe Coral Rapids will be, twice as good as that once it gets hyper-threading. But do I think, right, because this Snowmass variant of Zen 7 is supposed to launch in like mid-2028, do I think in 2 years from now, Intel's server CPUs will be 6 to 7 times faster than what they have now? I don't. Maybe they will be that fast, but I doubt it. And so for that reason, I think AMD is going to continue to dominate and hold the server CPU performance crown over Intel for at least another 4 years, and who knows, maybe another decade. Intel is still very far behind AMD, and AMD is, from what I'm seeing here today, relentless in how much they want to innovate year after year, gen after gen, to keep that performance crown, not just ahead of Intel, but possibly multiple generations ahead of Intel. And that's my conclusion. And on that note, if AMD can hold this insane of a lead in Epic, I don't know why they couldn't do this in consumer if they really tried. And that's why I'm also continuing to be skeptical that Intel will really catch up to AMD in gaming on desktop next year. But we'll see. I still think Nova Lake could be good, but yeah. Anyways, before I let you go, I also want to spend a little bit of time today to talk about an insane development that's happened with Nvidia and how they are pumping up the bubble for AI in a very similar manner to how Enron did right before the dot-com bubble burst. We have to talk about that after an ad from a sponsor. Getting back pain after pulling an all-nighter analyzing semiconductor roadmaps? There has to be a better way. There is a better way with the sponsored product of this video, the FlexiSpot C7 Max chair. It is packed with 0.2-inch latex seat cushion and memory foam that generates up to 12 hours of seating comfort. This chair is fully loaded with a 3D adjustable headrest, 5D armrest, and a game-changing design that automatically supports both your lumbar and your sacrum. Seriously, I am using this chair now after they sent it to me, and it is significantly better than the old chair I was using that I will now be throwing out because it fell apart. And I know it won't fall apart, this new chair from FlexiSpot, because none of their products fall apart, and I have many of them. That's right. They also make desks. I've been telling you an ad after ad for years. Proudly, their desks fill up my entire house, my parents' house, and even my brother Dan's house. Specifically, actually, Dan just got an E7 Pro standing desk for his girlfriend. What a lucky lady. But forget about wobbly and weak setups. The E7 Pro is built with a dual motor 3-stage semi-C leg structure that boasts a massive 440-pound static load capacity. It adjusts smoothly from 25 to 50.6 inches, and it even features futuristic anti-collision technology that automatically stops and retracts if it hits an obstacle. Both of these bad boys come with a 30-day risk-free return service as well, a 10-year warranty on the chair, and a massive 15-year warranty on desks. So don't be a noob, get good, and click the link in the description. Use code C750 to get $50 off the chair, and use code YTE730 for an extra $30 off the desk during their 10th anniversary Labor Day sale. Using these codes, getting these products helps the channel a ton, but of course, just even clicking on those links helps a lot. So check out the links below to support Moore's Law is Dead with FlexiSpot products today.
We're announcing 6 partnerships today. these partnerships are going to pull together independent long-term capital to fund and support AI infrastructure build-out. This is, of course, also a milestone for our company. We used to build chips that we sell, and these are technology components that people buy and use. But now, NVIDIA's AI factory platform is really an investable asset, an infrastructure asset. And the reason for that is because it's productive, it's revenue generating, it is fungible, it's used by just about every cloud service provider, it runs every AI model, it runs algorithms of all different types. And so it has really broad, deep reach and off-takers.
Yep, this week Nvidia officially announced a push to turn AI compute into an investable asset class. Just like how Enron did 26 years ago, almost to the day, by the way. Nvidia is partnering with CME Group and Silicon Data to launch Compute Futures this October, and they are teaming up with Wall Street heavyweights like Apollo, BlackRock, Blackstone, and Goldman Sachs to mobilize over $500 billion to keep the AI infrastructure bubble going. Look, what they're essentially doing is trying to treat GPU rental time, like a month's worth of renting a GPU, into a futures commodity, like how people track the price and the future price of a barrel of oil. Jensen Huang is explicitly arguing that compute is not about having a chip, it's a revenue, it's a fungible and transferable commodity, and that is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard for the following reasons. First of all, we have to talk about conflict of interest. Nvidia is incentivized to keep GPU prices high, so this trading of compute commodities just seems like another way for Nvidia to pump some bubble that they want to get more and more expensive. This wasn't really true with Enron with bandwidth. There's incentives where you want more bandwidth and cheaper bandwidth. That's not what's going on with Nvidia here. They have the opposite incentive structure. And furthermore, even with like oil, like oil producers, yes, like a country or a company that sells oil likes higher prices than lower prices. But if it gets too high, the whole thing breaks down. Not really true with Nvidia. Nvidia's GPUs, they would like to, well, they just doubled the price of some of them. They would like those to go as high as possible. It's not like if GPU prices go too high, like we can't power cities anymore. So it's an entirely different situation. That is not at all like a barrel of oil. And I'm sorry, I think this is just a clear instance of something we can look at and go, this could possibly be the thing we look back on and go, oh, that's when the AI bubble peaked. Now, look, I am sure there will be finance bros that jump in and say, yeah, but Nvidia's price is going up after this announcement. The S&P 500 just hit an all-time high, and they'll say the classic line we always hear right before a bubble pops. They will say, it's different this time. And I know they will say this because I'm seeing people say that to me on Twitter. I honestly don't know how you can say that and not realize how silly you sound. And I would say to those people who say it's different this time that there's no evidence that it is. After the Enron announcement of bandwidth futures, they also went to all-time highs, just like many AI companies are now. And yet, I'm not kidding, just a few months after Enron announced or launched their bandwidth futures and they went to an all-time high, the NASDAQ sustained the largest weekly drop in its history to this day. Guys, this is what the top of a bubble looks like. And Nvidia is aware of this. They even called out in their announcement that this definitely isn't a bubble because they know the first thing everyone would say is Enron. But I'm sorry, addressing that you're aware this looks like Enron, Johnson, doesn't stop it from looking like Enron. And so am I saying, though, that Nvidia is literally the next Enron? No, absolutely not. I don't think they're going to go out of business or something like that when the AI bubble pops, although they could lose more of their value than you'd think. Although, to be fair, if Nvidia lost 90% of its value right now, I believe they'd still be worth more than they were worth like 5 years ago or something. So I think they would take like an 80% haircut and still smile away to the bank. But I think that we could see them going down this much cause other AI companies to go out of business because clearly they're out of money and they're relying on Nvidia to keep funding the bubble. And once they're not, well, those other companies besides Nvidia are out of money. And one final thing. Remember when I said that the NASDAQ crashed a few months after Enron announced bandwidth futures? Yeah, to all of the people that say Nvidia is still doing fine, and even when the bubble starts to pop, maybe Nvidia will continue to go up. Enron actually hit all-time highs months after the Nasdaq crash, and then didn't collapse for another year. So even if a bubble is starting to pop now or in a few months, that doesn't mean that some of these companies fueling the bubble might not keep dancing for far longer than you expected. But when you look back, you'll say, yep, they were able to keep the dance going a little longer, but the market was clearly already correcting. And I think that that is likely to happen within the next 2 years. I'm sorry, Nvidia copying the moves Enron made just makes me more confident of it. All right, I just thought I had to get to that today because that was one of the craziest things I saw this week, and that directly affects when your gaming hardware is going to be more reasonably priced. I continue to believe that it will be by 2028. But until then, please make sure that you subscribe to the Moore's Law Said YouTube channel. Ring the bell button so that you do not miss upcoming videos like this and upcoming leaks similar to the ones I just put out today. Also, make sure that you comment down below, like the video, hype the video, and also consider joining the Moore's Law is Dead Patreon. If you join, you'll get access to hundreds of die shrinks at the proper tier, if not dozens at the $1 tier. And even the $1 tier will let you ask guest questions. The next guest will be James Pryor. He's a former product manager at AMD, who's always a great person to talk to when it comes to assessing how these companies are doing and the moves they are making, if they're really wise business decisions. You can ask him questions if you join the Patreon after this video comes out. And for everybody else, though, no matter what, if you made it this far into the end of the video, thank you for watching.